Everybody loves a good love story. Yes, even those among you who claim to be above the fluff of rom-coms or melodrama of tragic romance, you can't deny those genuinely warm feelings of hope, excitement, and possibly even desire in seeing two likable, and most importantly, relatable characters navigate their unmistakable chemistry and connection. It taps into our very human want to be wanted, to find that so-called one-of-a-kind cosmic bond with someone special. And so you'll often find romance a driving force in much of popular cinema, TV, and literature, regardless of genre. I mean, a lot of stories that aren't even necessarily centered on a couple will usually still have some sort of sideline romance the audience can root for. And when done right, it makes the plot all the more memorable. In fact, the desire to see two characters end up together has formed such a core part of popular media that viewers eventually put a name to it: shipping. Or relationshipping, a term that apparently emerged in the 90s for the fanfare around X-Files' Mulder and Scully. We've since seen plenty of iconic ships rise to fame. Twilight's Edward and Bella, Supernatural's Dean Winchester and Castiel, Star Wars' Rey and Kylo Ren, just to name a few. They don't necessarily have to be canon either, they just gotta look good together. And this fascination, this draw to see two people end up together, isn't necessarily bound to fiction, no. This concept can also bleed into the real world, typically amongst the very actors and actresses who play these beloved on-screen couples. If they've got the chemistry, viewers will understandably root for that spark off-screen. And much to the delight of fans, it can happen. See Brangelina, Spider-Man's Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, and The Notebook's Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling, who even infamously reenacted the film's kiss at the MTV Movie Awards. On-screen chemistry can make for such powerful movie magic that the same actors will often be paired up for multiple movies together. Winning formulas have included Kristen Stewart and Jesse Eisenberg, Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler, and Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. Stars that have proven to look good, act well, and pull off a believable romance together. But for all of Hollywood's favorite iconic couples, nowhere has this concept been banked on more than in the entertainment world of the Philippines, a nation whose media industry has found a highly successful money-making machine exclusively out of this very idea. Coining the term love teams, talent companies have set out to feed our romantic cravings, manufacturing long-term celebrity pairings specifically made to fulfill audience fantasies for fairy tale love and happy endings. And while a cute, fluffy idea for entertainment and a good launchpad for stardom, there is, of course, a grim catch to all the glitz and glamour. After having spent 2 months in my home country, which is the Philippines in case you guys didn't know, also I'm back from vacation! Hi, hello! I felt pretty inspired to tackle this fascinating media trend that I've only ever really seen in our world of pop culture. A trend that's so captivating and glamorized and romanticized for many that it's easy to overlook a bleaker, less wholesome face to it all. One of crippled artistic growth and individuality, and unhinged cult-like fanaticism when left unchecked. And all that's exactly what I want to dive into with this video. The staggering popularity, the iconic successes, and the toxic industry of Filipino love teams. Alright, so before anything else, love teams pretty much function like real-life ships popularized by fans. Except instead of organically gaining fame and virality purely from the sole dedication and love of audiences, they're specifically created by Philippine media companies to tap into our love for admiring, well, people in love. Basically how it goes is studios find two famous people, typically actors, and pair them up based on their chemistry. They're even given a portmanteau of their names to really help establish their brand as a couple. Young actors Catherine Bernardo and Daniel Padilla are known as Kathniel, Liza Soberano and Enrique Hill were known as Liz Ken, you get the picture. This team, which is usually, if not always, a heterosexual couple, is then made to cultivate the image of being an ideal romantic pair in the public eye, starring in movies or TV shows together as romantic interests, launching music albums together, and going on talk shows or attending media events together. All for the purpose of getting those butterflies going among audiences, of getting them to ship these people like they're characters in a rom-com. In fact, there's a word for this very feeling in Filipino, which literally has no direct translation to English. kilig, or to feel giddy with joy, usually at the sight of something romantic, like your favorite love team. In many cases, a pairing can even wind up as a romantic couple in real life, which further fuels the adoration and, you could say, fantasies among fans. For instance, the previous love teams I mentioned are, at least at this point in time, actual couples. Another big example would be longtime actors Marian Rivera and Ding Dong Dantes, who, after becoming a popular pairing in 2007, eventually got married and currently have 2 kids. They were such a huge love team at the time, in fact, that they tied the knot on national TV and even had the event titled The Royal Wedding. Okay. It's a marketing strategy that is highly lucrative and incredibly effective in boosting the careers of the stars involved. Being in a love team would mean more projects based on your pair, whether that's in cinema, on TV, in music, or in launching merchandise. And of course, it feeds into the yearning for passion and kilig that's pretty prevalent in Philippine media culture, and in our culture in general, I think. Stories of unrequited love, of everlasting love, of tragic love are incredibly popular and profitable in our entertainment industry. And I think now is a good moment for me to briefly dive into one of the biggest, most successful examples of Filipino love teams to date. And that is the absurdly massive phenomenon that was AlDub. Like all the other love teams mentioned on here, AlDub was a cross between the names of actor Alden Richards and TV character Yaya Dub. The pair first came to be on the noontime Philippine variety show Eat Bulaga, the country's longest-running variety program that still airs to this day, though in 2015 had been going through a bit of a dry spell, according to producer Jenny Ferre. To shake things up a little, she decided to create the eccentric characters of Lola or Grand Manadora and Yaya or Nanny Dub, exaggerated parodies of snobbish, conceited rich women who were to star in a live segment where they visited various parts of Metro Manila, communicating with the hosts in real time through a split screen. The latter character, Yaya Dub, was played by then internet sensation Maine Mendoza, who went viral for her lip-syncing videos on the now dead Dub Smash app. Casted for her popularity on the platform, the studio decided to model and name her character after her Dub Smash personality, limiting whatever dialogue she had to lip-synced lines from movies, TV, or internet memes.
You're so pretty.
Pretty.
You are pretty!
With or without makeup?
Yeah.
Oh my god, thank you so much!
Oh, ang swerte ko! Thank you!
Top-tier comedy aside, this concept never really took off until the studio decided to have a little fun with Maine and got actor Alden Richards, who she apparently had a crush on, to spontaneously appear on the other half of the split screen. This caught the actress by surprise, and her giddiness caused her to constantly break character from her snooty facade. The audience were over the moon and found this little meet-cute incredibly charming, and it was at this moment the producers knew they had something special. The episode became an overnight sensation on social media, gaining a 300% increase in viewership for the program across the Mega Manila region and generating 3.5 million tweets in 24 hours. It also prompted the launch of Calyaserie, a 30-minute soap opera parody segment dedicated specifically to the pair. Just like most anything on the show, it was filmed on the spot and improvised, maintaining the authenticity of the two's interactions with each other, which gave them ample room for more organic, cutesy moments to take place. And in an attempt to milk their will they won't they appeal among eager audiences, Alden and Maine were only made to communicate through the same split screen, and only through lip-synced lines from popular media. These two harnessed the thrill of shipping your favorite couple, with the unique dash of reality TV thrown in. It felt real for many due to the segment's raw, improvised nature, rather than simply seeing a script play out in your run-of-the-mill romantic drama. Additionally, while most love teams have already established themselves in the flesh, AlDub cashed in on the extra thrill of rooting for these two to just meet in person. This further gave the studio the advantage of drawing out tension between the pair, since, being in two separate locations, their interactions were limited to facial expressions, gestures, and the occasional placard. This is what made AlDub so successful among audiences. To its credit, they weren't like your traditional love team. At their prime, they weren't going on talk shows holding hands and singing duets, a staple of any Filipino love team by the way. They weren't doing cute photo shoots for the media, and most importantly, they were never in the same places geographically. The very core of their love story was the will they won't they factor. And even when they'd eventually end up in the same room together, there was always something keeping them apart, whether that be being blindfolded or literally having plywood strike down the middle of them, Looney Tunes style. Like watching your favorite ship unfold in a TV series, this continuous teasing had viewers hooked. Titling themselves the AlDub Nation, fans were constantly breaking records on Twitter with millions of posts generated each day. September 26, 2015 saw over 25 million tweets created under the couple's hashtag, when the two finally got to have their first proper date on live TV. Such traction outdid posts for the Super Bowl and the Video Music Awards that same year. But it wasn't until the program's 36th anniversary that this record was broken by a landslide, as the two were to finally canonize their romantic relationship, on stage no less, for a concert in front of thousands of screaming fans. It was a massive event that drew in 41 million tweets under the now most used hashtag in 24 hours, according to the Guinness World Records. Of course, Eat Bulaga also enjoyed being the #1 daytime show for weeks on end. Regardless of what you think of the couple, personally, I don't really think I'm the target audience for this. The Laylee Pons type humor, not really my thing. But they are, without a doubt, one of the most successful and iconic and unique examples of love teams throughout the Philippines' entire entertainment history. And definitely, mega popular love teams like AlDub bring a lot of joy and escapism for audiences. As I mentioned before, it's an effective way of relating to our common desire to love and be loved, to find the right person and achieve all the hashtag couple goals Tumblr loves to go on about. In the specific case of AlDub, many were also able to relate to its sort of long-distance romance, such as Filipino workers overseas who are only able to contact their loved ones through apps like Skype or Messenger. Skype. The days. There was also the added relatability of Yaya Dub's Cinderella complex, the age-old story of an ordinary girl pining for the popular boy, or Prince Charming, in this case Alden Richards, to notice her. Aside from audience entertainment, a popular love team can also evidently launch your career into stupidly colossal levels of fame. It's an incredibly effective way of staying in the public consciousness. I mean, it turned Maine Mendoza and Alden Richards into industry household names, who both went on to do more TV, movie, and even music projects. I think it's pretty fair to say that the entire stunt had radically changed their lives and skyrocketed their presence in the limelight. Yet, well-meaning and wholesome and lucrative as this concept may be, assigning these real-life people to a fictional yet highly publicized and sensationalized romance can very well have its fair share of often very damaging downsides.
In the Philippines, there's this thing called a love team where they get two actors and they put them together, and then the audience likes their chemistry.
Yeah.
Every project you do after that, it's always with that same person.
What?
It's an arranged show business marriage, bro?
I did like 6 movies and like 3 TV shows. It was only with
Interesting.
with my partner.
Holy shit.
How do you stop? How do you stop it?
You can't. Like once they ship you and there's fans behind it, it's unstoppable.
So you've got assigned to someone you've got awesome chemistry with, probably someone you're already dating. That's great. You get to score more projects together, launch merchandise together, do photo shoots together, and essentially build an entire brand name together, which all sounds pretty amazing. Your career is reaching new heights, and both of you are making your mark in the world of showbiz. But what happens when either of you decide to collaborate with other people? What if you decide to play someone else's romantic lead in a separate movie or TV project? Well, nothing should happen. Ideally. Artists learn and grow from working with different people and creatives. And these people are not always going to be your friends or your family or your partner, you know, that's common knowledge. Collaboration with a diverse range of people is what helps you develop your skills as an entertainer. But the sad reality is, at least in the unique world of Filipino love teams, not everybody is gonna see it that way. Sometimes when a love team is too popular for its own good, the artists involved will often find themselves boxed into this image, unable to pursue creative opportunities outside of it with the same level of success, or at the very least, positive reception. Take, for example, the actress Catherine Bernardo, who I mentioned earlier was in a years-long love team with actor Daniel Padilla under the name Kathniel. Being the successful pairing they were, many fans were in an unnecessary uproar when Bernardo was cast in the 2019 romantic drama Hello, Love, Goodbye, alongside a man who was not Daniel Padilla. In fact, to add fuel to the fire, the guy playing her love interest was actually from another love team. And not just any love team, oh no. It was none other than Alden Richards, the other half of nationwide super couple AlDub. When word spread that Bernardo and Richards might be sharing a kissing scene, it caused such a scandal among fans to the point that some were reportedly planning to actually boycott the film. One netizen even took to Twitter to criticize Catherine's mom, Min Bernardo, for her parenting, out of all things, saying, "There are rumors that this movie will be boycotted by the AlDub Nation and other Kathniel fans since there may be many kissing scenes between Alden and Catherine. As a mom, you didn't even respect your daughter's boyfriend and allowed her to make out with some other guy. Is this what you call a role model?" To which Bernardo's mom clapped back, "Are you part of the creative team? Likely not. What you're saying is contrary to the story. Do not question my being a mother, as there's plenty you don't know. Hopefully when you become a parent, you'll be a role model yourself. Then come back and talk to me." Despite the backlash, the film did go on to become a box office success. So much so that it now stands as the all-time highest grossing film in Philippine cinema. So ultimately, it all turned out well, profit-wise. At least they were able to stick it to those naysayers. But sadly, the same can't be said for actress Nadine Lustre, other half of love team Jadine, with her on and formerly off-screen partner, James Reid. When she decided to step out of her love team and star alongside Carlo Aquino in the 2019 fantasy film Ulan, she was critically acclaimed, yet met with meager box office earnings. Compared to the previous rom-coms or romantic dramas she's done in her usual pairing with Reid, many of which have raked in well over double the amount, and at best 15 times that much. Filipina actress and singer Selene Youssef spoke out on the harsh reality of love teams back in 2017, stating that when you're a fan, you want whoever you're supporting to always be better, to do better, to learn more, to spread his or her wings. Sadly, there are fans who knowingly or unknowingly cut the wings of the actors they support by limiting their roles and keeping them from making the most out of other opportunities. Fans can, unfortunately, get a little entitled over the career decisions their love team idols choose to make, particularly if it threatens the existence or legitimacy of their beloved pairing. Some actually believe these artists should solely stick to the projects featuring their love team. Anything outside of that is a betrayal of some sort to the fandom they've nurtured over the years. The AlDub Nation fandom, for instance, had reportedly attempted to boycott any separate projects of Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza, while at the same time protesting on social media for the two to have more joint projects. A few even decided to retweet a protection prayer for the AlDub Nation family. This all took place in 2021, well after the love team's prime, showcasing just how attached fans still were to this fictionalized love story. So much so, in fact, that the whole reason why this entire commotion took place to begin with was because Mendoza's new sitcom decided to guest feature her real-life boyfriend, who was, shocker, not Alden Richards. The absolute nerve. Enraged by the fact the show would dare support this blasphemous relationship, fanatical AlDub supporters attempted to take down its production companies by spreading the Twitter hashtag TBADN boycott MZETXAPT17. Yeah, really rolls off the tongue there. But the whole incident also shone light on the harsh truth about this love team. That it ain't frickin' real. Regardless, this caused quite the cognitive dissonance among die-hard fans, as plenty of them were waiting on the day these two would actually end up together. But they just couldn't seem to fathom that it was all just make-believe, that they actually had lives beyond the fantasy of their public image. And if you think all that's intense, I haven't even mentioned the cult that has come out of this absolute frickin' clownery. And yes, that's right, you heard me. Cult. So just last year, a video surfaced of a bunch of AlDub fans getting together to honor their beloved love team. And what better way than with creepy chants and a whole-ass vigil. According to internet sleuths, this same community of obsessive fans also passionately cling to the conspiracy that the two were actually together in real life, married with kids, in fact, and were being oppressed by their networks to keep their relationship a secret. That boyfriend she showed up with on national TV, well, he's nothing more than a cover-up, and we'll have you know, he's actually gay and with some other celebrity. This shit got so out of hand that Mendoza herself would reach out to some of these fans directly to debunk the lies. And even then, people would accuse her of not being the real main, that her account was being managed by some random admin.
Yung iba, parang hanggang ngayon, kapit na kapit sila na mag-asawa kami ni Alden, may anak na kami. Totoo po ito. Merong mga ibang tao na nanahimik, na nadadrag sa issue, and yung character assassination, palagi po yan ever since.
So ngayon nagko-call out ka pa rin?
Privately, yes po, kasi meron talagang mga ayaw tumigil. Again, hindi ko po nila lahat.
Pero ni-screen grab nila. Tapos ipopost.
Yes, i-screen grab nila, and then talagang i-justify nila na admin to ng account ni Maine, hindi ikaw yan. So parang ano ba? Hindi ko alam kung ano gagawin ko. Parang kahit ako susuko na lang din.
Oo.
Talk about giving Elvis death deniers a run for their money. This is insane. I do want to make it clear though, I'm talking about the extreme fanatics here, those on the more unhealthy end, evidently, of the AlDub fandom, because I'm sure there are plenty who support them on a reasonable level. And the same goes for the fandoms of the many other love teams out there. I'm not here to generalize, but to more so showcase just how obsessive and possessive fans can get when it comes to these fictional media pairings. With enough time in the spotlight, a love team may just blur the lines between what's real and what isn't. And because they're a product designed to be consumed by the masses, extreme fans, whether consciously or subconsciously, can start to feel like they actually own these people, dictating not just how they choose their projects, but how they live their lives personally. Like when people kicked up a fuss over Jadine, two consenting adults, deciding to live in together before marriage?
All the humanity!
Prior to Mendoza coming out with her actual boyfriend, Arjo Ataide, AlDub fans would constantly play detective with the pair's social media activity, accusing either Mendoza or Richards of dating anybody who appeared on their feeds. Eventually, Mendoza took to social media herself to write an open letter to fans, confessing that she felt like she was living in a box and that she had had enough of people feeling entitled to her personal life. While expressing gratitude towards supporters, she even goes as far as to ask them for, quote, "the freedom I believe I deserve, freedom to feel what I want to feel, to be what I want to be, and to do what I want to do. Alden deserves the same too." The intrusive fanaticism, of course, clearly and unfortunately didn't end here, and you could only then imagine how people reacted when news of her actual relationship finally broke out. Ataide was apparently on the receiving end of relentless criticism, even death threats, with him and his sister labeled as users, accused of furthering their names in showbiz using Mendoza's brand. This prompted Mendoza to open up once more to her fans on her personal blog. There, she expressed her disappointment in those who chose to attack her partner, and by extension, even his family. Most importantly, though, was this particular passage she wrote. "I am sorry if the truth is too much to bear. You fell in love with AlDub, not Maine. Could it be a sad fact to finally admit? Sadly, I cannot stay as AlDub forever. This is Maine, the real me. And this is real life. And I cannot go on with my life behind a fictional character." It can be easy to lose a sense of yourself or your individuality as an artist when you've been attached to someone else for so long. When Catherine Bernardo took on her role for Hello, Love, Goodbye, she admitted it was really difficult stepping out of her love team after numerous years. This was despite the fact that she and love team partner and boyfriend Daniel Padilla made the mutual decision to not take on any projects together for a change. Prior to the movie, she revealed how it had always been her and Padilla for the longest time, working together even on projects overseas. So when commenting on the time out they decided to take from their love team, she admitted that it was going to be tough for both of us, and maybe even tougher for our fans. And while there's nothing we want more than to make you happy, we'd appreciate if you can give us this year to pursue our individual growth this time around.
We've done so much films, shows also. Marami pa kami pwedeng gawin. Diba? Paulit-ulit namin itong ginagawa. Pero talagang binibigyan lang namin talaga ng dedikasyon, di ba? Na maiba pa rin to sa iba namin mga past na ginawang films. Pero at some point kasi aabot na rin tayo na gusto na rin natin gumawa naman ng ibang timple. Diba? Kasi pag paulit-ulit, nawawala na din minsan yung ikaw rin parang, yeah. You know, so you have to do something new. Diba? Something, a different taste. Kasi pag paulit-ulit na parang pagkain na, paulit-ulit, nakakasawa na to. And individually, kailangan namin din mag-grow as actors din. Gumawa naman ng mga projects na kinakatakutan namin. Masarap yung ganun eh. Masarap yung pagsugalat. Hindi mo iniisip kung anong kikitain ng pelikula. You just wanna do it because I like it, diba? Iba yung feeling na yun.
Similarly, actress Liza, now Hope Soberano, had been coming out recently with honest accounts of her experiences in the Philippine entertainment industry. While most of her stories have centered around the importance of artistic autonomy, she also touched on the topic of love teams and how being strapped to the same co-star for the longest time had stunted her growth as an artist, even if it took her a while to see that. She admitted that being part of a love team quickly became a comfort zone, to the point where it was difficult seeing her partner, Enrique Hill, being offered projects without her. It wasn't until later that she realized she hadn't done much for herself as her own artist, and feared audiences may have taken her acting capabilities for granted since they'd only ever seen her in a love team. Fortunately, Soberano's now focused on building an image outside of her pairing, giving a sincere statement on the whole love team culture of Filipino entertainment. To be honest, love teams are a phenomenon only created in the Philippines, only existing in the Philippines, and to box a woman like that is so dangerous actually for their mental health and also for their growth, not just as a professional, but as an individual. The whole thing, though, is still a work in progress, with the actress claiming to sadly not having her solo work taken seriously or respected just yet. In fact, it's seen as something overall negative by some. She even mentioned how some now view her as some sort of wild child since she isn't seen with the same guy constantly. And when she signed up for the independent record label Careless, rumors then spread about her having a thing with founder James Reid. If this is true, I don't think I have to get into how damaging it is that these fans seem to struggle with seeing her as an individual, as her own creative. To these people, it seems she is by default a love team partner. Anything separate of that is invalid or somehow controversial. And she can't just be collaborating with some other guy. No, she must be dating them too. Of course, it's also important to acknowledge the role of the management companies here. They'll stick to a formula, in this case, a popular love team, because it works business-wise. And while it may appease fans, it may very well end up strangling the artist's potential. And now you might say, well, how are they gonna make money then? These things are great for industry profits because it's what the audience wants. But it's also worth considering that if companies continue serving up one thing, how would audiences ever want something different and possibly better? All this said, I think I've made my point that as cute as love teams are in the outset, it could very well bear plenty of artistic and even personal consequences for the entertainers involved, whether it's stunted opportunities or having to deal with unhinged fanatics. It doesn't seem to be all it's cracked up to be behind its romantic facade. So then, are they overall bad for Philippine entertainment? Well, if you're talking in terms of the profits, absolutely not. As far as the box office numbers go, these pairings are still the golden geese of the media, on top of the fact that they're an incredibly effective vehicle of fame and success for many aspiring stars. As a concept on its own, it's not inherently bad either. Everybody wants a bit of escapism every now and again. We've established that love stories or romantic entertainment, whether real or fiction, is a really popular and harmless form of that. This offers that kind of experience. But the concept doesn't exist in a vacuum, and it doesn't just have an impact on business. So in terms of media artistry, creativity, and the personal lives of those involved, yeah, it evidently has its downsides for individual creatives. The thing is, it'd be easy to say that our industry should just phase out the concept altogether, think of something new. I personally wouldn't see it as such a tragedy, but the reality is, with this practice being such a unique part of the industry since as far back as the 1920s, it's going to take a while for the industry to move away from it. And not that the new generation of artists should just give up on changing the scene. I think they should very well continue to introduce new ideas, break boundaries, question the existing landscape. Otherwise, for all the country's talent, how is the media and art scene ever going to improve? But aside from how love teams are so embedded in the culture's collective consciousness, the fact that these things make stupid amounts of money isn't going to stop studios anytime anytime soon from continuing to manufacture them. But there is a silver lining or two. If love teams are here to stay, it does seem like we're entering a new era of them where there's clearly an increasing attempt to normalize artistic autonomy and individuality, as we've seen with Catherine Bernardo and Hope Liza Soberano. Even former half of Jadine, James Reed, spoke out on the importance of this as he continues to experiment with new projects as a solo artist.
I'm excited to work with Nancy. She seemed that she was excited for the project and she seems very nice.
And then you ask the fans not to come up with a team name.
That's so old, like that's just an old formula trying to pair them together to get people to watch the show. I mean, it's already like 2019, can't we just let artists work together? We have to involve personal life as well, because that's where a lot of the stress and a lot of artists get burnt out.
But that's what works.
We need to move away from that. It's not healthy. We should move to something better.
But it certainly has nothing to do with Nadine. I read some comments also that, it has nothing to do with Nadine.
No, Nadine has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And that definitely did not come from it. That came from me.
It has nothing to do with it.
Gotta love how people assume the only reason he's going solo is because he was forbidden by his previous love team partner from pairing with anyone else. But I digress. Some artists are also confident that the idea of reel-to-reel love teams are a slowly dying trend among the new generation of audiences, that viewers might gradually be growing less attached to the thought of these pairings becoming actual couples. Actors Shira Diaz and Ruru Madrid, for example, were romantically teamed up in 2021 to headline 2 different TV projects under their network. Building on a potential love team, now known as Shiru, the two, unlike many other industry pairings, were already in separate long-term relationships at the time. When asked about this rather rare setup, Diaz states that viewers now are maturing, confident that audiences can move forward with their idols if they're ever paired with another actor. As long as they give it their commitment and dedication, she believes that they can make a love team work in this day and age, despite being in their respective relationships. Madrid is similarly optimistic, believing people are becoming increasingly aware that what they do is just work and that their goal as actors is to entertain. On top of that, we're seeing the rise of queer love teams too. 2013 actually saw its first gay pairing in Philippine mainstream media, with actors Denise Trillo and Tom Rodriguez, eventually labeled Tomden, who played a gay couple in the TV series My Husband's Lover. Though unsurprisingly considered a controversial and daring project amongst the industry's typically more conservative programs, the show and its love team was quite the hit among critics and audiences. It went on to win multiple local accolades as well as score a nomination for Best Telenovela under the 42nd International Emmy Awards. But it was the driving factor of the show, Tomden, who quickly became a nationwide favorite and a touchstone for breaking pop cultural norms. To top that off, they were titled Celebrity Pair of the Year at the 2014 Pepsters Choice Awards. Their appeal captured both heterosexual and LGBT audiences alike, and their acting on the show was particularly praised for its realistic depiction of an on-screen gay couple, rather than defaulting to stereotyped caricatures or comedic relief, which is usually the case, disappointingly enough, with most queer characters depicted in popular Philippine media. The pairing went on to have numerous media appearances where they did the typical love team thing of singing obligatory duets, a concert, and even launched their very own recording album. Fast forward to 2020 and we've got yet another pairing breaking barriers with actors Elijah Canlas and Coque de Santos, also known as Elikoy. Stars of the romantic web series Game Boys, these two have won the hearts of viewers not only nationwide, but on an international scale. Their show became a breakout hit in the midst of the pandemic, gaining millions of views on YouTube before snagging itself a second season, a TV broadcast, a Netflix release, a spin-off show, and a feature film. It also went on to win Best Web Series in the 2020 Indie Shorts Awards in Seoul, landed Teen Vogue's Best BL or Boys Love Dramas of 2021, and got itself a 2021 Emmy Kids nomination. But aside from the success of their project was also their notable popularity as a love team, with fan bases from various parts of the world at that. Elikoy holds the same mainstream fan appeal while playing into the same love team tropes as its contemporaries. Not only do they turn up the chemistry on screen, but they also tease viewers by doing so off screen, even reportedly calling each other baby when not in character. They bank on the cutesiness and charm of their appeal, just like all the other straight love teams before it, and to overwhelmingly positive reception from audiences. Plus, the fact that they aren't actually in a relationship or blooming romance romance for that matter, is just another way they break typical love team norms. Now, admittedly, these are just a few rare examples of changing tides, but it does show a glimmer of promise for the future if pairings like these are here to stay. Of course, this doesn't clear the formula of its evident flaws, and aside from stars themselves speaking out and breaking new ground, I do think it's also on fans to have a broader perspective on things and to remember that these people they may idolize in their favorite shows or movies are just artists doing their work. And before that, they're people like you and me. We don't get to dictate their career paths the same way we don't get to dictate anybody else's professional choices, much less their personal lives. By challenging its traditions though, new pairings like Shairu and Elikoi could pave the way for a love team culture that has a healthier outlook on the celebrities involved and appreciates unconventional stories and diverse experiences. Perhaps the concept could eventually find a happy balance between profits and audience appeal without having to compromise the integrity and growth of its artists, the very people who make it work. I guess we'll have to see. And so that about wraps up my little deep dive on at least what I consider a really interesting media phenomenon that I've only ever uniquely witnessed in Filipino entertainment. I know this one's a bit different from the usual Hollywood-based pop culture trends I usually dig into, but I thought it would be fun this time around to explore the vibrant world of celebrity culture from none other than the motherland. I had a lot of fun analyzing something a little more close to home, so even if you're not from the Philippines, I hope you were still able to get something interesting out of this video. Is there anything similar to this trend in your country? And if you are from the Philippines, what are your thoughts on love teams and the love team culture back home? Do you dig it? Do you think the concept's past its prime? Whatever your opinions are, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy these kinds of pop culture essays or commentary, feel free to subscribe for more videos like this one, hit that notification bell to keep up to date on my latest uploads, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.